Alright, guys, I think we're live. Bear with me. My voice is coming back, but it is pretty rough right now. So, like I said, just bear with me. Sorry that I'm running a little bit late tonight. It's a typical Friday here in this house. And like I said, I'm sorry about my voice. I just did not want to skip a live stream again tonight. Because I've skipped for so long. So I totally wanted to do one tonight. Because I can't really record anything with this voice. And I can't really read any stories tonight. But I thought it'd be really cool for us just to have a chill live stream. We talk about horror stuff. Just joke around, have fun. And so forth and so on. Before we get started, just going to go ahead and do the disclaimer. This is a no-nonsense channel, which means I do not support any type of bullying, racism, politics, so forth and so on. So if you decide that you want to bully or get belligerent or rude, speaking of which, there are moderators in the chat. The moderators are Leon, Outrum, Sleeping Wendigo, Evil Outcast. So, I think I'm forgetting some. Anyway, guys, I'm like I said, I've got a headache and everything, so bear with my absent-minded brain. So just to go ahead and let you guys know, there are moderators in the chat that will shut down any type of shenanigans that are not fun. As well, there's links below in the description that you can follow. I really hope that one of these days that I'm going to have on the first link is a PayPal account. I'm hoping that sooner or later I will have a list of patrons that I can list at the end of every video and beam with joy that I have those. But until then, there is a link to the PayPal account. And if you decide that you would like to be a patron, you can donate whatever you want. 25 cents or, a higher number. After that, you can find me on TikTok. I haven't been really active on TikTok because I just haven't had time. My favorite right now is Instagram. That's where I like to be and show off. And then, of course, there's Twitter, so forth and so on. Anyway, going to the chat. Let's see who's in the chat. Right off the top of the list, I've got Sleeping Wendigo, Outrum, MNTVV, Evil Outcast, Leon. Speaking of which, PA Nightmares, he is a mod. Kyle, Cool Cat, Todd, and my sissy. Hold on, sissy. What does the sissy say? Oh, yay, our hometown is winning. And then the phone rings. We'll ignore it. If I forgot anybody in the chat, I am not intentionally trying to ignore anybody or leave anybody out. Like I said, I'm very absent-minded and 90 to nothing. So how is everyone? How have you been? I have not got to talk to you guys in forever. I have missed you so much. I hope I don't start coughing. I missed you guys. Oh, Nightmare Edge is in the chat. How are you? I'm sorry, P. I didn't mean to forget you. Just like I said, guys, you have to bear with me between upper respiratory bronchitis, asthma, and just everyday life. I have just been run down. Let's see. How is everyone? Let me see. I've missed anything in the chat. Kyle, shenanigans. Which makes me think of something. Today, my coworker was playing a video, and it's this movie called The Waiting or something. It's got Ryan Reynolds in it, and he was playing it, and the bar that he works at is called Shenanigans. So for right there, I'm already making myself laugh, so. Hey, Odin's child, how are you? For some reason, my live stream tab, there it is, finally. I could not get the live stream up on my Streamlabs, so that makes me feel better. I can now put my phone down. Oh, thank you, Leon. I need head pats. Thank you, Todd. I hope I get to feeling better soon. I know I don't have COVID, but oh my gosh. I've just not been feeling good. PA, what are you noting? He is noting something. What is he noting? Oh. No, Kyle, don't be throwing fish in the chat. Stop that. That's not the type of shenanigans we need. Hey, Ella. Oh, she's fixing to go. Oh, I'm missing it. I wish I was at the game right now. But next week is another game, and I'm excited. And Kyle, you said pizza. What kind of pizza are you getting? Doing notes for work. Ooh. Having to work even when you're at home. That sucks. I'm starting to think maybe I shouldn't technically have live streamed tonight because it seems like everybody's really super busy. And that kind of is a bummer. So, I don't know. What do you guys want to do tonight? Do you want me to try to read a story with this voice? Do you want a topic that I can find on the internet and we can talk about? Papa John's. You know, I have never had Papa John's pizza. Interesting. Yes, Evil, you're making bacon cheeseburgers with the family. MNTVV. Yes, num num. Num 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 num. I have not got to see Halloween Kills, but I just got HBO Max, and I believe it's on HBO Max. So I'm probably going to sit my little booty down and watch that. On that note, guys, I'm going to walk 2 steps from my microphone and get my Mellow Yellow because I need some caffeine and I need something for my throat because it can't handle nothing right now. Alright, like I said, 2 steps. 3 steps in a back. MNTVV. I'm gonna try not to push myself. I've just missed you guys so much that I had to do this. I'm hoping by next week I will be able. Ooh, Outrun Dune is on HBO Max. Oh. I think I'm gonna have to, guys, go disappear for a couple of days and just binge HBO Max. So if you guys don't hear from me on Instagram, send a search party. If I stop messaging you, it is because I've lost myself in HBO Max. Because right now HBO Max has Zack Snyder's The Justice League. Oh, I must go. You know what? I'm just gonna go now. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna stay here. I don't want to go lay down, Leon. Got my Mellow Yellow. In a minute, it's gonna hit. That Mellow Yellow is gonna touch my soul, and I'm gonna be like, woo. In fact, I had bacon cheeseburgers tonight. I didn't make it though, but I had bacon cheeseburgers. I'm longing for the day to become really super famous on YouTube, and I can hire myself a maid and a cook. Mew. For every reason. Mew. I love reading the chat. You guys are awesome in the chat. You bring stuff up. And it's fun. I don't know. I didn't have anything prepared to read tonight. Because I didn't know if my voice could handle it. Oh no, cool cat. I'm so sorry. You're having one of the weeks. Hey, Furberries, how are you? You're having one of those nights like, oh, I've had it for the last couple weeks. Oh, I found a good story to read, but it's like 17 minutes long. I will duly note that story for, maybe my voice will come up before Halloween's over with and I can record something. I actually got to record right before my voice went out a really good story. So I'm hoping that I think I've got it edited and ready to go. I just have to put it to video. So, yeah. And anyway, what I was going to say, guys, is I've really missed you. I don't know. The last couple weeks I've had such a struggle. I think it's probably because I haven't done any live streaming or got to talk to you guys or had any fun with you guys. So it's kind of had some sadness and so forth. Do you guys ever just go through spurts where you're sad and like you honestly are trying to reflect what's upset you, and at this point you're just like, screw it, everything's upset me, and you try to explain it to other people and they're just like, I don't understand why you're sad, and you're just like, screw it, I don't really want to explain this, so I'm just not going to say anything. I will hide the sadness. So that kind of sums up my week and a half. And it might be just because of nerves and jitters and being sick and work. And not to mention about 2 weeks, I got a court date. So that's really has set my nerves ablaze. I've just really missed you guys. I think not being around you guys. I don't know if you guys understand, like, YouTube has been like the great... Oh, Kyle, you're awesome. You always seem to know what I'm saying. You understand, and that's really awesome. Because sometimes you just kind of feel like I am the only person going through this. I know that's not true, but yeah, I feel like I'm the only one going through this. So I don't know, Lakota. My dog has gas, and he just let one. And I heard something and didn't really recognize it until the smell hit my nostrils. And now I want to vomit. Aw. Bye, Leon. I wish you could stay longer. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you guys understand where I'm coming from. Because... Well, see, nightmares, that's kind of another thing. Is not only does the sadness come, but you do get upset. And kind of angry because nobody seems to really kind of understand what you're going through. And you try to explain it. And I know everybody means well. Most everybody you try to explain it to, they really try to be there and they try to understand. But you know that they really don't. And it makes me feel really stupid and really weird. So... one thing I can tell everybody, it is totally okay to be sad. For some reason, our society believes that you have to be happy and hoppy skippy everywhere you go. And sometimes it's okay. I mean, that's one thing I like. Okay, one of my favorite singers, of course, by now, if you're anywhere been in this channel, Joji is one of my favorite singers. And one of the biggest things he's taught me is that it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be in that moment. But it's also really good to... fight your way through it and use that sadness for creativity, which of course I've always used it to write. So there's that. I find that I do some of the best writing when I'm sad and going through one of my like episodes. So, and you're right, Outrum. Sometimes you just have to be sad. The more you try to fight it, the worse it gets. And, hey General, how are you? Sometimes you just have to be sad. And I know that sometimes that really upsets people. They're like, you know, you need to be happy. You need to feel better. Sometimes you just can't be at that moment. And I sometimes wish society understood that a little more. That everybody struggles. And everybody's got their own struggles. And I think, you know, like I read one of the best quotes as in a meme. That some of the happiest people who joke are happy and joke because they don't want other people to feel the way they feel. And that kind of sums up how I am. I really don't want other people to feel the way I do. So I constantly am like trying to make you laugh and feel better and be supportive because everybody needs that that creativity, that support. Um yeah, cool cat. I understand that. I do it too. Nightmares, I'm gonna be honest with you. I totally agree. Some of the best and wittiest things I've ever come up with is in the full upset, mad, whatever you want to say. I've come up with some of the funniest and outrageous and random and insulting comebacks when I'm in one of my moods. And what's even worse is now I'll look back and I'm like, that was funny. And I don't think the other people find it funny, but I find myself hilarious. MNTVV, toxic positivity isn't good either. Don't forget. It is true. I don't usually am toxic positive. I'm genuinely positive. I do want everybody to feel better. Even if I'm not feeling good, I do want other people not to feel sad or upset or angry. So when I'm supportive, I'm genuinely supportive. I really want people to feel better. So I do understand toxic positivity. Unfortunately, I try to stay away from that as much as I can. um, oh, okay, PA, be safe on the way home. Thank you for being around. Hey Chaos, how are you? Um, and I do understand toxic positivity is not a good thing. A lot of times people are like that. Me, I try to whatever I say to people to be genuine and reflect the truth. I try my best to never be insincere. That's like one of my biggest worries is like when somebody gives me a compliment. I'm so awkward when it comes to people giving me compliments that I'm terrified that I sound insincere. And genuinely, when people give me compliments or support me or whatever, I genuinely mean what I'm saying to you because you guys are amazing. You, I mean, you guys really are supportive and positive, and it helps me through a lot. And I always want to give that back to you guys. I always want you to feel, supported. And yes, Kyle, you're right. Sometimes you just have to ride that sad wave, get through it, and when you come through the other side, you usually have a better rationality through stuff. Uh, I'm glad, KS, you could catch this. Sorry, guys.
Hi.
Yes, Nightmare, yes, I totally get you. Yeah, you're just like, man, I'm good. Oh, Chaos, you're still at work. Well, I'm glad that you could stop in here and be with us while at work. I shall be your work buddy for right now. If PA's still listening, I'll be his drive home buddy.
Huh.
Yes, yes, MNTVV. When I say something, I mean it. I'm not lying to anybody. I truly want them. Like when I tell you congratulations, I am so happy that your channel or whatever you're working on is thriving and doing great. um,
Hi.
so, okay, you need to go. Go watch TV, okay? No, go on, go watch TV.
I want to watch something.
Huh?
I want to watch something now.
Then go get the remote, borrow the remote from them for a minute, okay?
Okay.
Elijah says hello. Yes, Chaos, I am still up for that. I meant to message you the other day, but I was at work. Oh gosh, here we go. We're just gonna start coughing. Elijah says hello to everyone. Um, Sorry for the coughing. I randomly have these coughing spells. It feels like a little gremlin in my lungs trying to claw its way out. Yes, I'm still up for that chaos. I meant to message you the other day and just was not able to. Um, um, yes, that's my little one. He is, the baby, and, he is fully immersed in what I do. And he, like, if I'm recording a video, he wants to be a part of it or be the director. I feel that my little one is going to somehow be in some type of creativity because they say at school right now he's excelling in math and the science they do in kindergarten. And they actually said that he's very creative at school with his drawing and his music and everything. So I have a feeling my little one is going to be something big when he grows up. All right, go watch TV.
Okay, bye.
Bye. I need to go pick up some honey. I had honey on I used to keep honey all the time, but my ex never let me have it. So, yeah. So, I'm trying to look up a story. If you guys can handle my raspy voice reading a story, I will totally read it. But trying to find a good one that's not 20 minutes long. Because I do not think... Oh, yeah, speaking of kids, report cards came home today. And I'm going to be honest with you, I dread report cards. I don't know why, I just dread report cards coming home with my kids. Luckily, I had a really good afternoon before they came home with the report cards. But I was really proud. I have to brag on the kids for a minute. They're all A. One of the kids is an A honor student right now, and the others are ABs. So I have to brag on them. They're doing really great for having to swap. They had to swap schools, and they've had a lot of drama with my ex and everything. So I'm really proud of them. I have to brag on them for a couple of minutes because they don't know that I get to brag on them in front of everybody. So I'm going to brag on them for a couple of minutes. Oh, that's a good name. I like Oakley. Yeah, Chaos, I'm going to be honest with you. I've got some kids right now that are dying. They want to help me narrate. And I've actually found a list of stories that involve children. And I thought about rotating them. Because they're great little actors. But you have to, like, I'm the director and I have to, like, lead them and everything. So, my oldest one is probably the best at acting. I mean, she's got, had a video on my channel, but I had to take it down due to, court and everything. But there was a story that she did, and she was literally maybe 4, 5. And I would tell her the line and how I wanted her to read it. Or, act it. And, she was amazing. She started crying, or at least she sounded like she was crying. She wasn't actually really crying, and I mean, she was amazing. I have to brag on them. They're gonna be good little entertainers. I do need to get some honey. I think maybe if I'm out tomorrow, I'm gonna try to. Oh, thank you, MMTV. I try to be a good mom. I love my kids, and I would do anything for them. So, I try. Oh, I want to say one thing, Chaos. I named all 4 of mine, and I'm kind of glad I did, because, I mean, they match their names. Let's see. I'm still trying to find a I think I may have found one. It's only 8 minutes long. So what do you guys think? Should we read a story? I don't know. The chat keeps kind of dwindling in numbers, and it'll shoot back up to 16 or 18, and then it'll shoot down to 12, and it'll shoot down to 7. Quit that. Yes. I don't need any people think I'm farting on live stream. I'm serious. Tentacles, quit. Quit. Oh. So what do you guys think? Should we read a story? Or should we just keep goofing off? Now if I do read a story, I'm gonna probably be blindly reading the story. So I've never read it. Lakota's like, I'll fart on you. Truth, chaos. Well, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and read because I don't know. A lot of people might be just listening, may have left the chat. I don't know. So we're gonna try it. We're gonna try a story, and then we'll goof off some more because that's kind of like how I like to do it. Usually, I don't goof off for 30 minutes before I read a story, but we're gonna try. Alright, the story is I don't think I can change my voice very much other than what it is, so bear with me. The Beast of Silver Crossing. Oh, the town of Silver Crossing. Oh, you've never heard of us? I'm not surprised. You see, our little town can't be found on Google Maps. As far as the rest of the world is concerned, it doesn't even exist. The people from there don't exist, or at least they don't now. It used to be a self-sufficient little community that survived off the land and gave great hospitality to outsiders. Stuck in our ways and traditionally stubborn, with family at the heart of our core beliefs. We were not uneducated or living in tribes. We lived and thrived just like any other small town. We looked like your average small town, with small mom-and-pop diners, a movie theater, local stores, barber shops, drugstores, inns, and more. Now it's just a shell of its former self, a tattered and scared waste of space in a vast open wilderness. How do we end up like this? It all started when little Thomas Anderson went missing. News of Tommy's disappearance spread like wildfire, and the entire town banded together to try and help in some way. I happened to be friends with his dad, Michael, so the news hit me pretty hard as well. I spent the next week along with the search parties looking for Tommy in those dense, foggy woods. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. After the second week, people were starting to lose hope. After the third week, everybody except me and his parents had sadly given up. Halfway into week 3, I tried to convince Michael and Sandra, the mother, that Tommy was gone. Sandra went into a deep depression and had given up. Michael, however, looked day and night for Tommy. One night, Michael didn't come back. Sandra was so depressed that she didn't even notice, and I chalked it up to him camping out in the woods. He would come back, but he didn't. When Sandra finally noticed, it had been another full day, and even I knew something had to be wrong. He never had stayed out this long, not even for a camping trip. That, and Sandra said he didn't pack any camping gear, so he couldn't have planned to go camping out there. Yet again, the town went on another search, this time just a little shorter, and they finally called it at almost 3 weeks. He had probably been killed by a bear or a wolf and eaten. Tommy as well, or at least that's what the townsfolk chalked it up to. 2 weeks later, And I go to visit Sandra and to see how she's doing. I notice she seems different. She's talking to herself on her back porch, just staring into the woods. Blank, emotionless. I ask what was going on, and she tells me that she has good news. She said she had heard Tommy's voice call out to her from the woods last night. She heard him coming closer and closer. But when she tried to get near the sound, the sheriff's car had pulled up into the driveway and spooked Tommy away. I cursed him for all he's worth for making me lose my voice for a second time, she said, rocking back and forth on her porch while recounting the story to me. I don't care. I don't care if he's coming to check on me or not. He spooked Tommy away. Maybe Tommy thinks he's in trouble now and too scared to return. All that matters is that I know he's out there and that he wants to come home. I'll keep searching, but he'll come back to me. I just know it. I left her house shortly afterwards and spoke to the sheriff. He told me that he tried to visit Sandra, but when he pulled into the driveway, she came from behind the house, screeching and yelling at him, calling him names and telling him to leave. I did come to visit her, but that wasn't my only reason for heading to her house last night. I came to let her know that a couple of people around town had separate but similar reports of a boy that sounded like Tommy screaming in the woods, but those who had heard would not investigate themselves and had only reported it to me. I come to let her know that I had sent some officers out to investigate, but that I want to inform her of the situation. He says as he paused and sighed. Crazy woman wouldn't even let me get a word out before she chased me off. I tried to calm her down, but she's only got worse. I could have brought her in, but I had no real reason to, and she had every right to tell me to leave. I did come unannounced and at a bad time, but I'd never known her to be that erratic. Later that night, Sandra must have followed the voice because she went missing too. That was the last straw for this town. Something had to be done. Instead of another search, the sheriff put out a curfew and some strict rules on traveling and hunting, or anything outdoorsy. That didn't stop their own rules, especially kids and younger adults. Eventually, one after another, more and more people went missing. All of the strange reports around the town of the woods had similar details. The most common of these was those who had heard the voices reported that the voices they heard belonged to the ones who had went missing, and that the voices always were cries of distress or that person calling out for another person. They never sounded normal, like they were the last screams that person had ever made. I had abandoned my own house near the woods and sought refuge in the center of town, where my other friend Kenneth lives. Kenneth and I had stocked up on food and supplies for the last of us, for however long we needed to, really. We had no clue what had happened to the town, as did none of the surviving people. Not even people trying to travel away from the town could survive. Sarah Miller had come back up one of the old roads one day, all bloody and disheveled. She and her boyfriend Josh had tried to escape the town, but were ambushed by whatever was in the woods. She had somehow escaped, but Josh had been killed. When she was questioned about the thing in the woods, all she could say before she died of exhaustion was, It's hungry. It had been 2.5 months since the disappearance of little Tommy Anderson, and now the only people left in the godforsaken town were me, Kenneth, Paul, and the sheriff, and 2 of his officers, Mark and Emily. We all gathered in the same building and boarded the windows, as well as barricaded the entrances. Paul thought he had seen something prowling near the building one night and decided the officers were going to sneak out through the fog and blast it to pieces with whatever guns and ammo they had left. Hesitantly, Kenneth and I decided we were done hiding too and wanted to take our town back. Worst mistake I could have ever made. By the time we had made it out of the building and toward where we thought it had disappeared. Emily was the first to go. When she spotted it coming out of the fog at her, she screamed and was immediately quelled by the beast. None of us had gotten a clear sighting of what the beast still was yet, only that it was large and moved unnaturally quick. Kenneth and I weren't stupid. As soon as it took Paul and Mark, we took the chance to bolt. We got as far as the edge of town before Kenneth was taken. The last thing I remember was this shrill voice saying, "Run, Stephen, run," as he was pulled into the thick fog. And run I did. I ran as fast as I could into the forest, found the nearest tree I could climb, and climbed as high as I could, trying to vanish in the thick pine needles. It must have worked because when the beast came looking, it couldn't find me. It must have a terrible sense of smell because it didn't detect my scent. I spent the remainder of the night listening to the sound of the snapping branches and crunching leaves under its feet as it skulked about, all the while producing a wild variant of voices from the helpless victims it had consumed. Some voices overlapped like the thing had more than one mouth. It must not like sunlight because the moment the sun greeted the misty fog, swimming through the dense trees, the beast fled and the forest became quiet. It took me nearly an hour to gather the courage to leave the comfort of my tree, but I did. I quickly and quietly made my way to the nearest river, where I happened to stumble upon a person who was doing a bit of recreational fishing in his boat. He took me in and sailed as quickly as it could back to town, some miles away. Thankfully, his town was far enough away that I felt safer for now. I'm writing this that if the same thing happens to this town, that maybe I can leave some evidence behind for the next traveler or passerby. And to whoever reads this, please heed my warning. Go back to whatever place you came from. Travel by day only. If the fog rolls in and you start to hear voices coming in through the forest, it may be too late. Those aren't cries of help coming from people in need, even the children. I know it sounds terrible, but don't be the hero. Those are the cries of a predator, a charade of shrills, distress prowling the forest, the beast of Silver Crossing. Alright guys, that was the end of that story. As always, I would like you guys to rate and give me your opinion. I'm going to go back to the chat. Maybe find short ones. Yes, that's what I'm going to try to do now, is try and find short ones that doesn't strain my voice too much. Yes, MNTVV, we try to, everybody that shows up to the chats are just amazing and very super supportive of each other. So I love that. You already did. They said hi to you earlier. Yes, Outrub, no hating here, but lots of love and hugs. I agree, MNTVV. It's some communities it's hard to be a part of. I hate to say it, even with our community, you just kind of have to pace yourself and find people that feel the way you do. And for the most part, most everybody is super supportive. Thank you, Alrim, for giving me a thumbs up. 9. Nice work, though. Still enjoyed it. Baby. I'm actually shocked I've got this many people in the chat. If I'm not mistaken, there's another live stream going on at the same time as mine. That kind of upsets me because I live stream about the same days every week. So, and I always try to make sure I don't live stream the same time as other people. Just out of I'm probably going to read another story, but you got to be quiet.
Okay.
Oh no, Todd, you had phone troubles. I'm sorry. Oh. I think most everybody went to the other live stream. Kind of a bummer, but it'll be all right. I don't have 20 people I don't have 20 people I'm interviewing, so Evil, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who all's streaming right now. I know in particular the person that's streaming, and it kind of doesn't it doesn't surprise me that they're streaming. They some people are just kind of let me put it this way. The horror community has some of the best people you'll ever be friends with, but they also have some of the pettiest people. There are some narrators that can take a beef due to somebody's growing or creativity or whatever. And right now there's 2 people streaming, and it doesn't surprise me that both are streaming, even though both people that are streaming right now know that I stream on Mondays and Fridays at this time. And they literally started the same time as me, so oh well, not a big deal. I'm glad you guys are here. Tis fine. Anyway, and Evil, you may not be thinking of the same person that I'm thinking of that's streaming, and you probably wouldn't agree with me about what I would say about it. But anyway, let's see if we can find another story. Oh man, I lost my spot. Where was I at? Yes, I did. Elijah, go. Don't take the stickers off. Sorry. I'm trying to find another good story to do. May do this one. It's only about 8 minutes. Alright guys, you guys ready for another I hope you guys didn't leave the chat to go find out who else live streaming. Because it doesn't really matter. Some people are just that way.
Yeah.
As long as I got some uber amazing support, I'm okay. You supporting me? Okay. Elijah says he's supporting me.
Yeah, I'm keeping you safe.
You're keeping me safe?
From Daddy.
Making sure no shenanigans? No bad shenanigans? Alright guys, you ready for the next story? No, you can't have Mountain Dew. You'll never go to sleep. I know, Outrum, you are awesome. Thank you for being awesome. Alright. We're going to go back to reading for whoever is still in the chat. Alright. The door that leads to nowhere. When people come across something unexplainable, they try to find rational reasoning behind it. I mean, it's only natural, right? Well, sometimes things are better left unexplained. I learned this the hard way. It was a cool Thursday afternoon. I had just got off of work, and I wanted to take a stroll to clear my head. I find it therapeutic. Temperatures weren't too cold, but it was cool enough that I wanted to wear a thin jacket. Typical fall weather. As I walked, I felt the wind breeze through my hair, and it whistled in my ear. I usually only walk through my small neighborhood on the sidewalk, but I saw a rather large wooded area. I decided to walk into it, thinking that a change of scenery would be nice. The farther I walked into the woods, the more trees I began seeing around me. I told myself that I'd probably be the best if I didn't stroll too far, so I wouldn't have a hard time finding my way back. As I continued walking at a steady pace, I noticed a small dirt trail. Not thinking too much about it, I followed it. It led me to the cove of some sort, with enough trees surrounding that it formed a pretty big circle. The dirt trail ended, and there was no path ahead, just a circle with surrounding trees. The ground was covered with a ton of leaves, but one thing particularly caught my eye. A door. A door in the middle of the forest. It was probably the strangest thing I had ever seen. My curiosity caused me to walk up to it. It was no bigger than your average house door. It had a dark brown color to it, and was very clearly made out of wood. The door was old, but it still stood sturdy and strong. I put my hand to the door and felt its rough wooden exterior. It had a door frame around it, so that if you could open it like any other door would. I looked down at the doorknob. To no surprise, the doorknob was just as old and ruined as the rest of the door, but still sturdy. I reached down and grabbed the knob. It was black and metal. The knob was cold due to the cool fall air. I tried turning the knob, but it was to no avail. It felt like the door was locked. I tried twisting and turning a few more times, but again, the door did not open. I walked to the other side of the door and tried the knob one more time. I was met with the same results. I wanted to open this door, no matter what. I tried to kick the door, and it was surprisingly way sturdier than I thought. It felt as if I was bolted to the ground. I looked down at the ground around the door. After kicking the leaves away, I came to discovery. The door frame went inside the ground. The door must have been here for quite a while, because the ground around it showed no signs of any digging or tampering with. I messed with the door for a long period of time, trying different ways to get it to open. All of my attempts ended in failure. After failing, I realized that it was getting quite late and decided to head home. At my house, I made a small dinner and turned on the TV. After flipping through multiple channels, one channel caught my eye, the news channel. Why not, I thought. I kept it on the news channel and started eating. They had been reported on a murder that happened recently. Apparently the victim was a 24-year-old man, blonde hair, and was in a wheelchair. He had been shot in the head by some people that were robbing a store nearby. Gruesome stuff, I said to myself. I finished up my dinner and brushed my teeth and went to bed. The next day was like any other day. I went to work at a small town retail store. It wasn't your ideal job, but it worked. It put food on the table and paid the bills. That's all I really needed. After working a long and tiresome shift, I clocked out and went on another walk. I found myself walking toward that same forest I went to yesterday, but somehow I didn't realize it. Eventually, I ended up at the entrance of the woods. I took a deep breath and I entered. Seeking out the dirt trail was quite a challenge, since I didn't remember where exactly it was. After a short period of time, I finally found it. I followed the trail and reached the strange cove. What I saw before my eyes was the worn-out wooden door. I ran up to it immediately and tried the doorknob. It was still locked. I was frustrated because I really wanted this door to open. It was almost like a need to me now. I began pacing back and forth in front of the door, thinking of the many ways I could get it open. As I continued the pacing, I noticed a slight elevation on the ground in front of the door. I looked down and kicked the leaves out of the way. What was revealed was a very dirtied welcome mat. I hadn't noticed this before. What was read on the mat was "Lift Me." I picked up the mat. Under it was several dead bugs. I instantly threw the mat and took the big step back. What the heck? I looked down and saw a key in the middle of the disgusting dead creatures. It was broken into two pieces. I picked them up and inspected them. The pieces were rusted. There was no way I could glue the two back together. I tried the end of the key and put it into the lock of the door, but it wasn't long enough. I had to have the whole key. I looked up and saw the sun setting and the sky getting dark. I stuffed the broken key into my pocket and turned back to the head home. Today was Saturday. I had the weekends off, so I had the whole day free. I made up my mind to find a way to get this key fixed somehow. There was an old antique shop in town that maybe could possibly fix this. I decided to try my luck with that. I parked right in front of the shop. It was a small store that was right in between two other stores. I exited my vehicle and went to the shop. I looked around and saw a variety of items around me. Everything ranging from house decor, musical instruments, paintings, and mirrors. I looked forward to finding an old man sitting in the counter. He seemed really old and had that grumpy look. He had a messy white beard, and the few hairs he had on his head were white as well. He was reading the newspaper, so he didn't really notice me at first. Excuse me, sir? I waved at him. He looked up at me. I looked into his eyes. His left eye was cloudy and his right eye was light blue. I was wondering if you could get this fixed for me? For some odd reason, I was intimidated by this old man. I showed him the broken key. You want me to fix this key for you? His voice was deep and raspy. His teeth were yellow and rotted. Some were even missing. Yeah, please? I answered. He held his hand out. His hand was withered and very wrinkly, almost like a skeleton's hand. I dropped the key pieces into his hand. It'll be a while, he spoke. No problem. The old man grabbed his cane and slowly walked to the door that led to the back of the building. I waited around the store for what seemed like a half an hour or so. The old man came and walked up to him. He reached out with the key in his hand, and I took it. The key was whole again, and though it still felt a little bit rough, it seemed like it would work. I paid him for his work. May I ask you what you're going to do with this old broken key like that? I looked at him. I just found this old house and hoped that this key would work. I'm curious to see what's inside, I answered him. The old man smirked and said, Curiosity killed the cat. He then laughed with his rotting mouth. I nervously giggled. I thanked him and I sprinted out of the store and into my car. I got in and drove immediately to the forest. I arrived back at the spot where the door was. I walked up to it and faced it. I tried the doorknob just to see if anyone else had gotten it open. My curiosity was answered with a locked door. Figures, I said to myself. I looked down at the lock, took the key out of my pocket, and slowly inserted the key into the lock and turned. The lock slot turned with the key. I put my hand on the doorknob and twisted. This time, the twisted all the way, and then pushed the door forward. And it opened. I could hear a creaking noise as it slowly opened. What I saw was just the other side of the door. Nothing special happened. I stepped through the door frame and closed the door behind me. I looked around. The air began getting colder. The wind was whistling louder. Fog began to appear around me. What was happening? I don't understand. Then I saw something. Or someone, rather. What crept out of the fog was a man in a wheelchair. Excuse me, who are you? What's going on? I asked. I was met with silence as the man came closer and closer to me. The closer he got, the better I could see him. He had blonde hair. His face was covered in red. There was a hole in the middle of his head. It occurred to me that what I had been looking at was a dead man. The same man I saw on the news the other day. Let us out. He choked out. Frozen in fear, all I could do was stand still as he came even closer. I slowly started walking backwards toward the door. I tripped over something as I was walking back. I fell to the ground, and I soon saw what was beneath me. It was a dead body, a mangled corpse. You could only tell it was a body because the head was still intact. The head slowly turned towards me. You could free us. The head spoke. At this point, I got up to my feet and quickly ran. I ran for the door, and it seemed as if the door had gotten farther from me than it was before. I sprinted while screaming. "Help me! Someone help me!" I yelled. The fog had cleared up a bit. As I ran, I looked around and saw more dead people. Some were hanging from nooses on the trees. Some were on the ground bloodied. Some were walking towards me. Well, the ones that still had legs to walk with. But there's one thing that they all had in common. They seemed to be speaking. I could hear that ones farthest from me were what they were saying. But the ones closest were whispering something along the lines of, "Let me out. You can't leave. And stay with us." The ones who weren't saying anything were crying and screaming. All I could hear around me was those whispers and screams. I reached the door and I fumbled for the key out of my pocket. The dead man was still getting closer to me. I was shaking so much that I had dropped the key into the leaves on the ground. I reached down and rapidly brushed away the leaves so I could get the key. I grabbed the key and inserted it into the lock. I quickly twisted and I pushed the door open and ran through the door and slammed it shut behind me. Breathing very heavily, I noticed the air became warmer and the fog vanished completely. I ran away from the door and started yelling, "Help! Someone please help me!" All I did was yell as I ran farther from the forest cove. I ran into the police officer with a flashlight in hand. There was so much going on that I didn't notice how dark it had gotten. "Whoa, calm down. What's wrong?" the concerned officer asked me. I was panting. Please, you have to come with me. There's dead people," I yelled frantically. "Listen, calm down. I'm here because we've been getting calls about screaming going on in the forest. Was that all you?" No, just me. There's people that need help. You gotta help them," I pleaded desperately. "All right, bring me to them. I'll get them help right away." I led the officer back to the cove, but what I stumbled upon shocked me. The door wasn't there. It had completely vanished. "What am I looking for?" the officer asked. "Wait, it's not here. Why? It was just here," I yelled. "What was?" The officer looked at me very confused. I looked down and sighed. Nothing. Must have been my imagination. I was defeated. "Are you sure you're all right?" the officer asked me while pointing to his head. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm not crazy." "Well, I'm going to stick around and look a bit to make sure. You head on home, all right? Get some sleep." "Yeah, I'll do that." I walked out of the cove and made my way out of the forest. Every day since then, all I could do is think about that incident. What was that? Was it all just a dream? I knew none of my questions would ever be answered. No one would ever believe me either. If I tried telling anybody, they'd definitely think I'm crazy. The door may have disappeared, but the key remains. Why? Don't ask me. I don't have a clue. I can't bring myself to get rid of it. I always keep it on me. Maybe I'll stumble upon the door again, and curiosity will kill me one more time. Alright, guys, that's the end of that story.
Yay.
Thank you.
Nobody thought liked it.
The biggest supporter. Let's see. Hey, Gamma, how are you? I'm glad that you're stopping by. Don't forget, guys, to rate the story. Not on my leg.
On a new lap.
No, sit on the floor. Don't forget to rate the story and let me know what you're thinking. What you think about it. If you liked it. That might be all the story reading I can do tonight, guys. My throat's killing me, and with other people live streaming, I don't want to. Other people may want to go to other live streams, other than mine tonight, and I will not be selfish and live stream for 2 hours. But I think, guys, on Mondays if I can. I'm going to try to live stream. Hey, Josie, how are you? I'm going to try to, guys, on Mondays, maybe live stream for more than an hour. Mondays may be my long day to live stream. And I'll live stream for like maybe 2 hours or so. Fridays will probably be the short stream, unfortunately. So, I don't know, guys. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. I hope you guys always enjoy the live stream. Nightmare, yes, I did miss your previous question. I do write half of my stuff. There's probably a good bit on the channel that I write, and I just don't give myself credit for it because, I don't know. I'm always terrified what people are going to think about my writing. So a lot of times I don't actually tell people what I've wrote. Good. Well, thank you. I'm glad you think it's good. But I guess in a way I'm always very nervous that people are not going to like my writing. So half of what's on the channel, is my writing. I just don't tell people. Even my closest friends and family don't know that half of my stuff on the channel is me writing. The true stuff I actually look up and write scripts out for it. A lot of the creepypastas or stuff like that I do write. And the other half I do look up. If I have time to get permission, I will. And if I have time to write, I will. And no worries, Nightmare. I didn't think you were being demanding. It's good if I miss your question to definitely ask me again because I'm not ignoring you. In fact, some of my stories have been narrated by other narrators, and they didn't even know it was me. So I think that's pretty cool. I like that. Yes, my son is very super supportive of my work. I'm glad you guys are having a great night, and I hope you have had a great weekend. Do you guys want me to try to read one more story?
Yeah.
I don't know why I never like ending my live streams.
Ooh, I like sticking gum on me.
We might have time for one more.
I got gum down on the table.
I think my child just fell.
Well, Mommy, what does a frog say when it's dead?
I don't know what.
It can't talk. What does a frog say when it's dancing?
I don't know. What does it say?
It says, potty poo poo.
Okay. I think I can if I can find another short story. Bite your tongue?
No.
Your lip?
No, my gum.
Okay, shh. You talk a lot. I don't know where you got it from.
You talk a lot on your live stream.
Oh, thank you, Nightmare, for stopping by and staying here. I hope to always be able to see you in the chat or that video premieres. But I understand children always come first. I think I feel up to it, guys. I might be able to, if I can find real quickly a short one. That's not. You stop that with the gum. Because I don't want to read a really long one. I'm finding nothing but long ones now. I'll get.
Why?
Outroom, what are you laughing at? Me and my son kind of going back and forth over here.
Bop. Bop. I like saying goo.
I want goo. Goo you to tickle you.
No, I'll goo you and slap you in the butt.
No, you're not.
What are you smiling at? What are you smiling at?
They're smiling at you, Goofy.
Don't smile at me.
They can't see you. Alright, I think I found another story, which means you gotta be quiet. Alright, guys, you ready? I'm gonna start the next story. I picked up a faceless hitchhiker. Normally, I don't pick up hitchhikers. By the rule, I don't think it's worth the risk when if someone truly needs a ride, they could call Uber or Lyft and be off in 10 minutes. However, while on a quick snack run last month, I made the mistake of breaking my rule when I approached a young woman who was walking alone in the pouring rain. At first, I fully intended to drive by, as I wouldn't have any other person. She must have noticed me driving, because right as I came up on her, she spun around and nearly jumped in front of my car. And she was frantically waving her arms at me to stop. As I screeched to a halt, she ran up to my driver's side window and started on a tangent about how her phone died and she's still 6 miles away from home. Her face was obstructed by a mask, oversized hat, and dark glasses, so I couldn't glean any semblance of sincerity from her facial expressions, but I could hear the desperation in her voice. Dumb of a decision as it was, I didn't feel right letting her walk home in the rain without a phone when she was clearly begging for help. This, on top of the fact that I didn't exactly have anywhere else to be at 1 a.m. I opened the door, and almost as soon as she entered the car, she asked me to go straight as I drove. I tried to make conversation with the stranger, but I never could get an actual response. The only reply I received was, "I'd like to go home. Please help me get home." Eventually, I just gave up entirely. After around 10 minutes of driving straight, I asked if I was supposed to turn anywhere, but was met with silence. I turned toward the woman for a brief moment to repeat my question, but instead slammed on the brakes when I laid eyes on her. All the items covering her face had been removed to reveal a completely smooth face. The only hint of her face was the slight rise and fall of veiny skin where her mouth would have been, almost as if she was imitating breathing. Instinctively, I put the car into park and moved to run out, but before I could even touch the handle, a large hand clamped around my arm and held me in place. I was close to having a full-blown panic attack, but she raised a gnarled finger to my non-existent lips and made a quiet shh sound. When she spoke, her voice had taken on a much more gravelly tone, and the pressure from her vice grip forced me to take every word with the utmost respect.
But
"You will not leave," she stated. "You must drive. You no longer have a choice." When she released her grip, I didn't say a word. I didn't even want to comment on the apparent bruising on my arm for fear she'd do much worse if I complained. I simply exhaled, put the car into drive, and kept going. We must have driven for another half hour. She'd occasionally tell me to make the turn here or there. Still, after about 15 minutes, I knew we were heading toward a more rural parts of the country, an area where people were known to go missing. With every glance in her direction, I could see her featureless face was strained and trained on me. It was as if she was observing me, not entirely sure of whether or not she could trust I'd take her wherever she wanted to go. And as soon as the trust was broken, it would be very quickly over for me. Eventually, she instructed me to pull up to a lone, run-down house just off the highway. The windows were boarded up, and I could see piles of trash strewn on the exterior. When we stopped in front of it, she told me to get out. An unconscious shake of my head prompted her to slam her giant fist on the dashboard, cracking the plastic. Without argument, I walked out to the cold night. She followed behind and pointed at the house in silence. We walked into the decaying building and were immediately met with a groan. I shined my phone's flashlight forward and saw what appeared to be a homeless man withering around the ground in pain. He was foaming at the mouth, and his eyes were bloodshot. I gasped as I took a step back into some glass, which alerted him of my presence. He turned to me and begged for help. He begged me to call the ambulance, or at least take a message for his kids. He began rambling on about how he made a colossal mistake, and unfortunately he never got to finish what he was saying. The woman pounced. In the blink of an eye, she was on top of him. Her hand conformed into a claw that wrapped around his entire face. 13 grotesquely long fingers held his head down, and he struggled against her strength. He tried to fight back, but the weak man's struggles were met with even more force. The creature upon him was determined to lap up every last breath, and I swore I could hear Twisted chuckle as it watched him cling to life. The screams seemed like they went on forever, but in reality it was quick. Maybe 13 seconds had passed, and he was gone. When she retracted from the body, a quickly shine of my phone light revealed a broken jaw, a twisted nose, and deep bruising around his neck. The woman's face was away from me, and for a moment we both just stood there in that horrible place. I tried to find my voice. I wanted nothing more than strength to tell her that all I wanted was to go home and pretend like this night was a nightmare. But I didn't have to. The reminiscent of the way she turned to me on the dark, rainy road, she spun around and revealed not just a large smile, but a brand new face. One that greatly resembled that of the man she had taken from this world. Her parting words to me in his voice were, "Thank you very much. Never return." With that, she simply walked further into the decaying structure. As soon as she was out of sight, I sprinted back to the car and sped all the way home. That night, I must have quadruply checked all the locks, taped the curtains down, and left a pile of makeshift weapons by my bed. Every single dream I had for the next month consisted just of the vision of her, but of many more creatures like her. And honestly, despite all that, I still never wanted to tell anyone. I wanted nothing less than to be another random guy throwing a story in the sea of tall tales. I knew that anyone I told this to would just roll their eyes and tell me that I was being ridiculous or that I needed to be drug tested. I'd rather just avoid the scrutiny all entire. But just last week, a man was found dead in his home, clearly suffocated, jaw and nose broken. No tips have led to anything significant. The police's only hint is a creepy video of some young man who was described as appearing featureless being dropped off near the home. Funny enough, just last night I saw a post on one of those community apps saying that someone in the area thought they saw the murdered man walking the streets. Turned out to just be a young man who looked remarkably similar to him. After hearing this story, I think I feel a little less crazy going public with this. To the man I enabled the death of, I'm so sorry. I thought I was doing something good, and as a result, it ended in tragedy. I will never forgive myself for that. I don't know what you were going through, but you deserve so much better. And to the world at large, if you ever are in a situation where someone is trying to hitchhike with you, please keep driving. Alright guys, that's the end of that story.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
If you saw a train sitting on the road, you probably would have won.
Yep, don't pick up nobody on the road. Alright guys, we've been going for an hour and almost 30 minutes. My throat here. I don't honestly think my voice can take much more.
Yeah. Wibble.
So, I hope you guys.
Bye bye.
I hope you guys have had a great week. I hope that you've had a great Friday and that your weekend's amazing. I'm going to try to have out a new story for Saturday and Sunday, and we'll return Monday with a new live stream and hopefully a better voice for you guys. So I encourage you, if you haven't, to subscribe. Hit that little bell icon to always be in the know. Hit the like button and the share and leave a comment so the YouTube gods are appeased. And I shall say it, guys, as I always say, stay cool, stay safe, stay hydrated. And as always, I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.